So it's true what they say, if you're a virgin, you're fucked. That's right, guys. Today we are talking about the classic movie from 1999-2000, Cherry Falls, starring the late, great Brittany Murphy. This one is a slasher with a nice, fresh little spin on it. I found this movie to be quite fun, very meta, and very disturbing. I mean, there's been a slew of slashers that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s that kind of all run the same rampant scheme, and this one, you know, tried to do something a little different, had a good payoff and a great story behind it. So if you want to talk about it, come chill with me. What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Review. I'm your host. Got me a bottle of Baja Blast. I'm gonna fucking chug this shit down fast. Dill. I mean, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you're like, bro, we get it. You're on the journey to 4,000 subscribers. Well, guess what? Now I'm finally almost freaking there. Guess what? It ain't my fault that I look like a cloud. If you love all things horror, spooky, nostalgia, then I'm the fit for you, dude. This channel's about to pop off. Hear you, me. And if any of that sounds of interest to you, come hang out with me and give me a shubby. And the irony with Cherry Falls itself is that it was released in 2000 and it was picked up by another film distributor because the MPAA, or the people that don't want to see good, bloody, gory horror content, kept making them change it. We see that oftentimes in movies. They're like, yo, this movie's too brutal, too real, too gritty. Change the format, cut some scenes, take your original content and dumb it down for the mainstream audience. And filmmakers did their mighty best to provide something that was of quality but still went with the theme, because essentially, in a small town called Cherry Falls, there is a mad woman on the loose killing all the people in town that are teenagers and are virgins. It starts off with a very eerie urban legend type scene where a couple's in a car making out at Lover's Lane, chilling, hanging tough, getting the vibes in, and the bro's kind of sophisticated. He's like saying some Shakespearean shit while he's trying to get down on Shorty, and she's like, bro, get your paws off me, you filthy animal, I'm gonna backpage you back to hell. He's like, come on, babe, I love you. When someone pulls up behind them and he's being all macho man Randy Savage, and he's like, what up, pukester? How can I help you? And then he gets gutted like a fish. I will say this opening scene, it is very cliche and been there, done that, but it's also very lackluster because the acting from the girl that's watching her boyfriend get savagely ripped apart wasn't the best. It was very subpar acting, but it sets the tone, and then you finally meet the main protagonist, Jody, who her father is the sheriff of the town. He's very protective, concerned, and you know, he's a loving father that's trying to do the best he can. And you know, she has this like shitty boyfriend, and he's like, babe, if we don't hook up, I'm gonna fucking dump you. Like, we've been together for almost a year and you're not putting out for me. I'm down bad for you, I'm in love with you. And then Brittany Murphy, you know, she's like slick, beautiful, fantastic actress, just such a vibe and ambiance. She's like, I'm just not trying to do that shit, bro, like, please stop. And he's like, we're over, and dips out. After he has a little conversation, a flirty, overly provocative and promiscuous conversation with Jody's mom, and for a second you're like, are they having a fling together? Next day, Jody goes to school and she finds out that the classmates were murdered. So there's this very humble scene in the middle of a class, very urban legend, Scream vibe, where they're all sitting together, kind of meta, talking about all this crazy shit. It introduces all the main characters that are going to be ripped apart, all led by the teacher, Mr. Marlston, played by Jay Moore. And he's just like, you guys want to talk about your friends passing? I know it's not easy. And the one thing I do respect about this movie is that the dialogue is written pretty well from the teachers and grown-ups perspectives to the kids. It's not very dumbed down, and it's not too overly meta where it seems like someone wrote it. Like, I feel like there's some hard-hitting conversations, like the one dude that's like very jaded and superficial about the passing of the students, and they're like, bro, like, you're not a tough guy. It's just like, it's just a great little ensemble cast. This person's going around slaughtering kids one by one, and it really starts to pick up in town when a third victim is killed, and then you're like, oh shit, there might be a serial killer on the loose. This girl's at home and she hears a knock on the door and someone's like, it's me. I can't remember her name. Laura Lee Stewart or something like that. And she's like, who? She's like, your mom didn't tell you I was coming? And she opens the door and gets ravagely picked apart. And one thing I do like about this movie is the look and aesthetic of the killer. At first glance, it's a long black hair with a silver streak, kind of like black outfit, black skirt, leggings, boots, and like, that's kind of a cool look. That's kind of a different look for a horror movie. So after this third kill, the town is in a frenzy. All the parents are like, dude, our kids are getting picked off one by one, and the sheriff is like, we need to have an assembly at the school tonight. All the parents, no kids. And of course, Jody, her dad being the sheriff, she's there, and this one local kid, Todd or something, he's like the little rebel, the little, I'm gonna get the scoop, I'm gonna break out of the city, I'm the journalist. You know that journalist trope of the 90s and 2000s. He's like, I'm gonna get the story on it. And while all the grown-ups are in the gymnasium, Jody and her homie are looking through. Fucking a fight breaks out because the sheriff is like, yo, essentially we have a demographic. It's young teenagers and they happen to be virgins. And then one dude's like, excuse me, are you telling us our kids should be fucking? And then one dad's like, yo, it ain't too hard for your daughter, slut. And then they get into a brawl and he's like taking pictures. He's like, dude, this is gonna fucking be the biggest news event of all time. And leading up to this, they were all fucking very, and the town's scared. So like Todd's like, the dude's like, I got the scoop, I'm gonna be right back. And then right off the rip, the killer comes and attacks Jody when she finds her homeboy dead inside of a locker. She gets into a little battle with the killer. They're fucking throwing each other around a classroom. There's like a giant swinging shark. She hits him. He fucking falls back and then she runs. She's like, Dad, the killer's in there. She's in there. And of course the cop goes in and the killer's gone. But where this movie gets a little bit intricate is that there is a little backstory. Laura Lee, whatever. Let's just say that she is someone in the town that is shrouded in mystery and torment. And all the parents ain't talking about it. They allude to it until finally one day Jody goes to her mom and she's like, who is Laura Lee? And her mom gives her this deep, brutal story. She's like, all right, let me lay it on you thick. Laura Lee was the outcast. She was this shy girl, this oddball, and she was sexually assaulted by four teenagers, and they all got away scot-free. And she was pretty much shunned for it. It's like they made fun of her, like they picked her apart for being the victim, and she ran away and escaped. But the thing is, the four people in town are these two dudes that you don't know about because they left, the principal of the school and Jody's dad. And this gut punches Jody. She's like, I genuinely can't believe that. That's disgusting. That's sick. It changes her life. It changes her perspective on her father. So with that being said, Jody's finding out the mystery of Laura Lee. All these kids are worried that they're gonna get killed next. So what do they decide to do? The next best natural thing, they decide to have a party at the old abandoned fucking farm. They're like, yo, we're gonna have a pop your cherry party. Everyone's hooking up. And this is where it gets very funny and intricate. Like they have scenes of girls talking and they're like, guys aren't gonna do what you think they're gonna do. It's not gonna be fun. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna last a few seconds. And then it goes to the dudes' perspectives and they're like, yo, how many holes do girls have? Like, what do we even do? So it's like really making fun of these young kids because, you know, they don't know. They're young teenagers. And that's where I see why the MPAA kind of interjected, because you're making a movie about teenagers trying to have sex. And at the end of the day, like, that's not far-fetched. It's a real thing, but it's like, you don't want to be watching that shit. But Jody, she's kind of having like a love triangle of sorts with her ex-boyfriend, and then she's like very feeling deeply about Mr. Marlston, which is another touchy subject because he's being overly flirty with her. He's being kind of a helping hand and a mentor, but you can tell there's some weird feelings there. So the night of the party, school gets out. They're all like, we're gonna fuck tonight. It's on the local news, like the kids in town are gonna bang, and everyone's like, yeah. Whoa. Jody kind of makes up with her boyfriend, which is good because, you know, he kind of sucks, little MGK looking knockoff, like MGK grew up in the 90s. Like, yo, is your dad MGK? And fucking, she almost like gives it up right then and there, and then all of a sudden she's like, you know what? I don't even know why I bothered. And then she dips. And on her way fleeing from her boyfriend's house, he's like down by, he's like, never talk to me again. We're over. You can tell in his face he regrets it because he does love her. He's just horny. She gets swooped up by a masked assailant. Not only does she get swooped up, her dad does, and then in the basement of this creepy house, we find out who the masked assailant is. Spoiler alert, it's our boy, Mr. Marlston. That's right, you did not see that coming, did you? And there's a reason behind it, because yes, we do know that the four students that took advantage of Laura Lee, her dad, the principal's dead. He gets killed, he gets cooked. But with that being said, why does Mr. Marlston care, dude? He's just like this young, hot teacher that really, you know, what does it have to do with him? What do you think? Like, come on, make a guess. I'm sure you can connect the dots. That's right. Mr. Marlston is the grape baby of the sheriff and his mother. And the sad thing about Laura Lee, whatever, she had a crush on the sheriff when he was a kid. She's like, she looked up to him. Like, there's a story, it's like they pull over to the side of the road because they saw her broke down, and she only got in the car to confront them because she felt safer on the sheriff because he was like her crush, and she wrote poems about her, and he sexually assaulted her, and he admits it too. Like, Mr. Marlston's like, tell the story about what you did, bro. And he does. He's laying there tied up, and he's like, I was drunk, my friends took advantage of her, and then they put me on top of her. And then you're like, dude, like, own up. And then he finally says, but I knew what I was doing. And then you're like, all right, we don't forgive you, but that's a redeeming quality that you can admit that. And, you know, Mr. Morrison, he's like, he's killing people. So he essentially, he's like, now you're gonna die, you and your daughter. But MGK boyfriend comes by, knocks on the door because he sees his girlfriend's bike. He sees Jody's bike outside. And he's like, Mr. Morrison, this is your house? He's like, what do you want? He's like, is Jody here? He's like, why the fuck would Jody be here? He's like, that's her bike. And luckily, MGK gets some intuition, and he like knees him in the nuts and runs into the house, and then he saves Jody and unties the father, but not before Mr. Morrison comes in and brutally kills the dad. And you're like, fuck, dude. I mean, he deserved it. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but he got his comeuppance. He was the sheriff of the town. He assaulted that poor girl, and like he lived a happy, clean life. Like, no, like you got to pay for what you did, bro. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. While all this is happening, there is that little orgy party going on at the barn. And, you know, Jody and her boyfriend run through the woods, and they're like, we know who the killer is. It's Mr. Morrison. And they kind of lay it on her. Like, my dad's tied up back there. He killed my dad, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Mr. Morrison sneaks up behind the cop and axes them. So they go to the house, and it's a cool little scene where they're all kind of like, all the teenagers are like in bed, making out, cuddling, all about to, you know, make the move. And then Mr. Morrison just comes in and just starts fucking brutally attacking. And shit is starting to hit the fan. Shit is starting to build up. And it is a fast-paced movie. There's a lot of payoff. There's a lot of good intensity. You get the plot reveals, and then it doesn't drag on for 45 minutes. They run to the house. You get some quick carnage candy, and it all builds up to Mr. Morrison falling to his death. Happily ever after. The tragedies behind them. The lore is exposed. The story is finished. That's pretty much the gist of Cherry Falls. Alright guys, what did I think about this movie? All in all, it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. Like, I knew it was going to have those tropes, that 2000s aesthetic, that vibe that a lot of those movies had back in the day that I grew up with. But, you know, this one was always shrouded in mystery to me. Like, you can never really find it streaming or anywhere. Like, you had to look hard to rent it. You always hear good things, like how it's an underrated hidden gem, or how more people need to see this, but that's only because the MPAA kind of made it hard to find in the early 2000s. Watching it at face value, Brittany Murphy, her performance is awesome. It has a great lore and backstory, and the killer is unique, but the whole movie itself isn't as intricate and fun. Like, the kills aren't that great, and the unfolding of the story isn't that intense. It just is what it is, but it's still a fun movie to watch. I highly recommend it. Like, if you're looking for that nostalgic, comforting feeling of the 2000s, of a slasher you've never seen, and you miss that vibe, but you want to see something you haven't watched 100 times, like Wrong Turn or Jeepers Creepers, check out Cherry Falls. I highly recommend it. But alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, give me a thumber, hit that ding ring button harassing you, telling you, hey, it's me, I'm here. And I'm gonna say one time for the one time and two times for the O's. Give me a hell yeah for horror.
When you were very drunk